Okay. Let's try this again. There we go. Man, I don't understand what happened. I don't know why that mic wasn't working, but here we are now. People, if you are watching live stream, if you're watching on the replay, thank you so much for joining me. Leave in the chat where you are watching from or in the comments down below if you're watching on the replay. So, let's get down to it. The Snyder Cut. The Snyder Cut. Finally, after so many years, after so many tweets and retweets and calling out Warner Brothers and calling for the stars of Justice League to join us, we finally got it done. Now, here's the thing. I was never a major voice when it came to the Snyder Cut. I felt that Justice League, the ship has sailed. They gave it a try, didn't do so well, could have done it better. The ship has sailed, and we shouldn't revisit it again. But, you know, the more I thought about it, the more I realized that I did want to see that version. I wanted to see what Zack Snyder had in mind, because that probably would have made the most sense, keeping continuity with Batman vs. Superman, and, you know, it would have made the most sense. So I hopped on the bandwagon, and I am actually really excited for this. I think this version is going to be better. I'm not gonna go out on a limb and say that it's gonna be amazing, because, you know, after what happened with the first one, I'm gonna stay skeptical. I'm gonna keep my expectations low. Keep your expectations low. That's all that I'm gonna say. Just that if you go into it, you might be pleasantly surprised. Hello there, Spry Pine Games. Howdy, he says. So what I'm gonna do today is I found this article from The Hollywood Reporter about the Snyder Cut, and I'm gonna go over it with you guys, and we're just gonna read through it. I'm gonna see what you guys think, and let's get to it. So I'm going to share it. Let's see. Oh, it worked. I'm using OBS for the first time, guys, so bear with me. All right, here we go. It will be an entirely new thing. Zack Snyder's 20 million plus Justice League cut plans revealed. HBO Max will debut the project in 2021, possibly in a 4-hour director's cut. Oh, I hope not. Or in 6 TV-style chapters, as the Helmer gets the gang back together with the original post-production crew to score, cut, and finish visual effects. God, I hope it's not a 4-hour movie. I really hope they, like, chapters, that would work. Chapters would work. I think that if they were to release like 6 different chapters like once per week, extend this out over the course of 6 weeks, it'll make them a lot more money because people will keep their subscriptions to HBO Max going longer to watch this, me included. All right, let's get into this article. It was very early on a Monday morning in November when director Snacks? Oh God, here we go. I'm already starting to struggle to talk. When director Zack Snyder, oh boy, it's gonna be a rough one, and his wife and producing partner Deborah Snyder received a call from their agent. Let's be a bit more precise. It was 7 a.m., Spry Pine Games. It was 7 a.m. But more importantly, it was the day after the second anniversary of the release of Justice League, the DC superhero movie that Snyder was forced to exit due to family emergency, which was then substantially reshot and retooled by replacement director Joss Whedon, meaning Joss Whedon turned it into Marvel's The Justice League. In the time since its release, something unusual happened. A growing movement of fans, rallied by the hashtag Release the Snyder Cut, had called, agitated, petitioned, even bought a Times Square billboard and chartered a plane to fly over Comic-Con. I didn't hear about that. For Snyder's version to be released. And on the film's second anniversary, the hashtag had its biggest day ever, with even the movie stars Gal Gadot and Ben Affleck adding their voices on Twitter. Man, this is history right here. So here, the morning after, was their agent saying that Toby Emmerich, chairman of Warner Bros. Pictures, was acknowledging the movement and, more importantly, was willing to accede. This is real. People out there want it. Would you guys ever consider doing something? Was what Emmerich was asking, Zack Snyder recalls. The answer to Emmerich's question, a whispered about secret for months, was revealed Wednesday when Snyder confirmed, at the end of an online screening of his 2013 movie Man of Steel, great movie, that his version of Justice League was indeed real. And that it will be coming to HBO Max, the Warner Media digital streaming service, launching May 27th and is expected to debut in 2021. It is unclear what form Snyder's Justice League will take, whether it will be released in an almost 4 hours director's cut or split into 6 chapters has yet to be decided. But the Snyders are now in the midst of reassembling much of their original post-production crew to score, cut, add new and finish old visual effects, and yes, bring back many of the actors to record additional dialogue. Wow, they were going all out on this. I thought they were just going to, do the VFX and stuff like that. I didn't think they were going to, redo the entire movie. Also unclear is the cost of the endeavor. One source has pegged the effort in the $20 million range, although another source says that figure could be closer to $30 million. Jesus. The parties involved had no comment. Wow. Warner Brothers must really be throwing the dice on this one if they're going to be putting that much money into this. It will be an entirely new thing. And especially talking to those who have seen the released movie, a new experience, apart from that movie, Snyder tells The Hollywood Reporter, noting that, to this day, he has not watched the version released in theaters. Understandable, am I right? You probably saw 1/4 of what I did, the director notes, basing his judgment on what has been shared with him of Whedon's version. Wow, really? I didn't think Whedon changed that much. I mean, I know that... Anyways, before Emmerich came calling, says Snyder, I always thought it was a thing that in 20 years, maybe somebody would do a documentary and I could lend them the footage, little snippets of a cut no one has ever seen. But, adds Deborah, with the new platform and streaming services, you can have something like this. You can't release something like this theatrically, but you could with a streaming service. Very true. It's an opportunity that wasn't there 2 years ago, to be honest. It is a very unlikely development and the latest twist for a movie that has, like the Man of Steel himself, seen death and rebirth. Snyder was in a unique position when he shot Justice League in 2016. Warner Bros. Had entrusted its universe of DC characters to one filmmaker, him, and he had been building toward a great on-screen team-up, though not without some bumps in the road. He began with Man of Steel, with grossed 668 million worldwide, then followed up with Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice, the 2016 blockbuster that polarized fans with his dark take on the iconic tight two-year heroes, and took in 873 million globally. Batman v Superman is very underrated. I don't know how you feel, Spry Pine Games, because I think you're the only one watching it right now. No, we got a few more people watching. That's great. But I don't know how you guys feel, but Batman v Superman wasn't as bad as people make it out to be. I think it deserves a little bit more credit, in my opinion. Anywho, in January of 2017, Snyder had what he considered his optimal version of Justice League, almost 4 hours long. That's a bit much. Although he knew it was something the studio would never release. Warner's wanted a cut in the 2-hour range, and he delivered a rough version with an approximate 2-hour, 20-minute running time. That was the first cut the studio saw. Both sides agreed that there was much work to be done before the November release, but tragedy struck the Snyders when their daughter Autumn died by suicide. Man, so sad. A month and a half later, Snyder officially stepped away, and Whedon was brought in. It's a good film. I just wish that Doomsday wasn't in it. Otherwise, it was solid. I agree. I think that was the only thing that they did wrong and that they should have saved. Because, they had two different stories being told. They had Batman v Superman, the fight between Batman and Superman, and then they had the death of Superman. And the death of Superman is too big a story to be told alongside another story. So I agree with you, Spry Pine Games. I wish they had saved Doomsday. Here we go. League opened November 17th to weak reviews and a sluggish box office, eventually taking in $658 million worldwide. However, almost immediately a movement was born. Fans, unhappy with the film, created the now infamous hashtag. A Change.org petition for Warner's to release Snyder's version had already garnered over 100,000 signatures less than 5 days after the movie's release. This is the power of fandom. This is the power of fandom. When we want something, when we want to see something, and we put our opinions out there, it happens. You just have to get enough momentum behind the movement. So much stuff can be changed if we just band together the way that we did. You know what I mean. Forget that the version that the fans wanted technically didn't exist. What did exist was a semi-unfinished work with no visual effects, no post-production. One person who had seen that version described it like a car with no panels, just a drivetrain and some seats. And it sat on a hard drive in Snyder's house. When we left the movie, I just took the drive of the cut on it, said Snyder. I honestly never thought it would be anything. Wow. In the year following their daughter's death, the Snyders closed circles around their family as they tried to heal from the tragedy. The first year was about the milestones and the holidays, recalls Deborah. Now it's not those, but other moments, like songs that trigger memories that hit me unexpectedly. As the director, as a family, as a couple, I think we have grown in a way that has made us stronger. We're doing our best. You really can't hope for more. Zach, you've done more than we ever could have hoped for. The duo also became involved in suicide prevention charity work and plotted a return to movies with Army of the Dead. I have heard about that. Meanwhile, hashtag Release the Snyder Cut became more organized and visible, gaining mainstream media attention. Snyder fed into the movement by occasionally teasing images from his movie or storyboards on social media, in some ways only stoking the hot embers. And he saw some of the seeds he planted in his movies. And he saw some of the seeds he planted in his movies, especially in his castings of Gadot as Wonder Woman and Moa as Aquaman, grow into gardens as the spin-offs became popular culture phenomenons and billion-dollar hits. Let's see. Spot again says, a 4-hour, probably more since it wasn't really edited in your house, and billions of people asking for it. You can only imagine how Snyder felt. Like, here was his creation. Here was something that he had been building towards for years, and he decided to step away from it, obviously due to tragedy. You know, suicide is a horrible, horrible tragedy that no family should ever have to go through. And he had to go through that right at the tail end of making the movie. So it's no wonder that he stepped away. With all that pressure on him to get that movie just right, and then on top of that, he had to deal with that tragedy. So I do not blame him in the least for stepping away. Not in the least. But, like, imagine having that. Like, I'm sure that he started to get the itch at some point after, like, he had gone through the healing process and after he had mourned for a little bit. I'm sure that he started to have the itch. Like, this thing is sitting here on my computer and this is what it could have been. Let's see. It was on the 2-year anniversary, however, that the zenith was reached and the hashtag became a top worldwide trend. Hashtag Release the Snyder Cut is the most tweeted hashtag about a movie that WB has ever made, but it's a movie they've never ever released, says Snyder. It's a weird stat, but it's cool. Can you imagine that? It is the most tweeted hashtag about a movie that WB has ever made, but it's never been released. It technically wasn't even a thing a year ago. After the Saturday morning phone call, the Snyders began to move puzzle pieces into place. We had to figure out what it meant to finish it, and how do you pull it off, recalls Deborah. Yeah, there was probably a lot they had to go through to get that off. The couple put together a presentation and in early February invited a select group of executives from Warner Bros., HBO Max, DC, blah, 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 to screen Snyder's little scene version that was shown in black and white. Oh wow, it was black and white. The number of execs in the room, there were more than a dozen in attendance, ranging from Warner's Emmerich, Caroline Blackwood, and Walter Hamada to HBO Max's Kevin Riley, Sarah Aubrey, and Sandra Dewey to DC's Jim Lee. Showed the importance of the potentially extensive undertaking. Heads of physical proportion and business affairs were there to assess what needed to be done and how much it would cost. At his presentation after the screening, Snyder outlined ideas for not just releasing the cut, but the concept of episodes and cliffhangers. That would definitely help it. If there were cliffhangers involved and stuff like that, like, I know that I'm kind of looking at this from a business standpoint right now, but, like, imagine what it would be like if at the end of one of the episodes, like, that's when Superman came back to life. Kind of like, I don't know how many of you have seen Game of Thrones, but kind of like the episode where Jon Snow came back to life. Like, right at the end of the episode is when his eyes opened up and he went, and he took his first breath of air. Like, imagine if that was how one of the episodes ended. That would be an amazing cliffhanger, and it would keep people involved. The executives left the meeting pumped. The Snyder Cut was real, except that it almost wasn't. The novel coronavirus struck, and Hollywood all but shut down in mid-March. Says Deborah, people thought it won't be possible to ramp up, and that maybe this should go on the back burner. But we said, no, this was the right time, because our visual effects houses that rely on so much are running out of work, so now is the time to be doing this. That's very true. All those visual effects artists that have nothing to work on, like, this definitely gave them something to work on. This gave them something to do. It gave them a job. That's great. I didn't even think about that. That is awesome. Good on the Snyders. Let me just check something, guys. Just watching my stream health here. If the stream like starts going fuzzy, guys, let me know, because, you know, my internet goes in and out sometimes. Anyways, hey-oh, where was we? It also helped that many of these post facilities that held on to the original assets. Snyder also spent April and this month reaching out to the sizable cast, giving a heads up on the new development and letting them know their services may be needed. The first person called, Ray Fisher, who played Cyborg. He was like, "You're kidding me, right?" recalls the director. Spry Pine Game says, can you imagine it getting so close to release and then last minute deciding to scrap it? That would be very teasing. Like, I guess with the coronavirus and stuff like that. Yeah. That would be such a tease. But with the coronavirus going on and all the quarantine, like, this is the perfect time to release it. Like, I know they decided to do it in 2021, but in my opinion, you know, they should have gotten to this point now, because this would have been the perfect time to watch something like that. That would have given plenty of people something to watch during quarantine and stuff like that, but obviously, you know, movies aren't made in a week and stuff like that, so it's going to take them a little while. Where was I? There is no schedule going forward at this point for the Project X. Talks are now beginning with the post-production houses, which also gives HBO Max plenty of time to find the best way to present this version of Justice League. Snyder is at the same time in post-production on Army of the Dead, his zombie thriller for Netflix that is also to debut in 2021. I will not be watching that because I hate zombie things. For the Snyders, the chance to revisit the movie also brings the prospect for closure on a project they were forced to let go. This movie was the culmination of a hero's journey that all these characters went on, says Deborah. And the idea was to build them up to be the heroes people expected them to be. And while the cut will contain the many elements Snyder has teased over time, yes, expect Darkseid. The duo also relish adding a fair amount of character development. What's so lovely about this is that we get to explore these characters in ways that you're not able to in a shorter theatrical version. Darkseid? I am entropy. I am death. I am Darkseid. Darkseid is my favorite, like my most favorite DC villain of all time. Yes, even more so than the Joker. The Joker is like, I'm not even going to go into it, but Darkseid is like my favorite DC villain. Because he's just so evil. And he has absolutely no reason to do the things that he does, except for the fact that he's evil. He's like the typical villain. And I love it. Anyways, where was I? The Snyders know that fan power is what led to the Snyder Cut becoming a reality. Damn right it is. Clearly this wouldn't be happening without them, says the director. He also credits Warner's for living up to its old reputation as the filmmaker studio. That's very true. That's very true. Like, if Warner Brothers wasn't willing to listen to us, like, they very well could have just stuck up their noses at all of our pleas. Like, it doesn't matter how many tweets that we put out on the internet. They could have just been like, nope, you're not going to get to see it ever. They really could have done that. So my hat's off to them for, like, actually listening and actually being, as he said, the filmmaker studio. Adds Snyder, this return to that pedigree and to let my singular vision of my movie be released in this format, in this length, is unprecedented, and a brave move. And that's it. I'm not gonna watch the video. Wow. I totally see that he is the definition of villain. And he goes, yeah, for sure, especially after all that work and money that is being put into it. Man, like, I get it. I really get it. This is history in the making. This is something that's never happened before, at least in my memory. I can't recall a time where fans have banded together, put out a hashtag on Twitter, and it caused a movie to be re-released in a different format, in the format that we wanted to see. Spry Pie Game says, for them to go with it anyway is not only a great thing for the HBO Max service, but it's also a great way to show their appreciation for their fans. This is going to go a long way to restoring the relationship between the fans and Warner Brothers. Because, let's be honest, none of us were mad at Zack Snyder. I mean, most of us weren't. Most of us weren't mad at Zack Snyder. We were mostly mad at Warner Brothers. We were mostly mad at Warner Brothers because, you know, they were the reason why we got the version of Justice League that we got. Most of us were not mad at Zack Snyder. The only people that were upset with Zack Snyder were the ones that didn't like Batman v Superman and didn't like the dark version of the DC universe. Yeah. So, exactly. Says Sparpanga. Yeah, exactly. So, for them to do this, it shows that they're willing to take a risk. A big risk. The first release of this movie did not go well. That movie, the total box office of that movie was the equivalent to an Avengers movie, their opening night. The opening night of an Avengers movie was their total box office. So they are taking a big risk in going ahead with this. They could lose a lot more money if this goes south. And they could lose a lot more fans. So here's what I'm thinking. I am going in to this with zero expectations. I'm not going into it with low expectations. I'm not going into it with high expectations. I'm in the middle. Because this could go very, very right. Or it could go very, very wrong. And because I guess maybe it'll go wrong because it's not what we want to see. That's where my headspace is right now. Is that it might not be what we want to see. And I'm going to transition back to full screen here just because we're done with the article. It might not go the way that we think. That's all that I'm saying. In the words of Luke Skywalker from The Last Jedi, which is also a very polarizing movie, by the way. Well, so far it looks like only Sprypine Games has been operating in the chat, but I know by looking that there is a few more people watching. So if you are one of those few more people and you guys also have opinions that you'd like to share, this is a judgment-free zone, so don't feel afraid to share your opinions. I am totally open to anything. I do not judge anybody. I'm totally open to discussing any angle, anyone's opinion. Just a nice, friendly discussion. But I've told you my opinion. My opinion is that low expectations, not even low expectations, just no expectations. Just go in with no expectations and just watch it as a fan. Don't expect it to be great. Don't expect it to be horrible. Just go in to watch it as a fan. That's all that I'm saying. It's as simple as that. What do you guys think? Let me know in the chat, and if you're watching on the replay, let me know down in the comment section below. But this is history of the making. This is something incredible that I never thought would happen. That I never would have expected it. When I hopped on the bandwagon, I think it was, when did I hop on the bandwagon? I think it was like a year ago. Red Brick 777, good to see you, pal. How much of the original story have you been told about Zack Snyder's Justice League? I know that the design for Steppenwolf was very different Very different. Darkseid was supposed to play a much bigger role in it. We were supposed to see a few more characters. Superman's resurrection was supposed to not be the same. We obviously were not supposed to see any badly CGI'd out mustaches. It was supposed to be like, obviously the entire movie was shot with Henry Cavill mustacheless. Thank goodness. So, but other than that, that's really all that I know. And I know that it was supposed to be like darker. Well, I also know that we were supposed to see Victor Stone, like supposed to see like flashbacks of Victor Stone before he became Cyborg. Something like that. That was in like the trailer. But other than that, we really don't know that much more about it, except it was supposed to follow along with the theme of Batman vs. Superman. It was supposed to be darker. It was supposed to be grittier. It was supposed to fit into the continuity of the trilogy. And that trilogy is Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, then Justice League. That was supposed to be like the order of events. Yeah, I know Wonder Woman was thrown in there and Aquaman was thrown in there too. But like they weren't part of that trilogy of films. That was supposed to be like the 3-movie Trinity, I suppose you could call it, because Batman, in keeping with Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman being the Trinity of DC, that was supposed to be like the Trinity of the DCEU, or whatever they're calling it now. But yeah, that's as much as I know. How many of you guys have seen Apocalypse War? Justice League Dark Apocalypse War, the animated film? Because that movie is like, why couldn't we have seen something like that as Justice League? That's what I want to know. So how many of y'all have seen Apocalypse War? And if you haven't seen Apocalypse War, no spoilers in the chat. Just let me know if you've seen it or not. And if you haven't seen Apocalypse War, watch it. It's on Amazon Prime Video. I think YouTube might have it up for rent or purchase. Not sure. But Apocalypse War is like what I wish Justice League could have been. If you want to know more, look up K-Wing. He's got a full video of the whole story. I watched it. I will take you up on that, Red Brick 777. I will take you up on that. Because I do want to learn more about this. I want to learn a little bit more. I don't want any spoilers. I don't want anything to be spoiled for me. But I do want to learn more about this. Have you guys seen you guys obviously have seen the pictures. You guys have obviously seen the pictures that they released, yes? The pictures that the Justice League released on Instagram and whatnot. I'll pull them up real quick just in case you guys haven't. Because they're really, really cool. And I am wishing that that's what it would have been. Boop. Boop. Oh, is there any way to make that bigger? That's so small. Whatever. See that? Woo, baby. That's pretty cool. Didn't Jason Momoa post something too? Let's see. Momoa. Nope. Okay. What's his Instagram? Jason Momoa? Pride of Gypsies. He put up something about it. Oh, here we go. Come on. Nice. I made that my thumbnail for the video that I posted earlier talking about the live stream. And then Henry Cavill put up something too, right? Yeah. Oh, he put them all up. Oh, this is cool. Or 2 of them. Oh, that's right. He was in the watch party. That is nice. I hope we get to see the black suit. I really hope we get to see the black suit. Because that'll be really cool. Apocalypse War took a few ideas from Snyder's Justice League. Is that right? I didn't know that. Did it really? Which ones? What did it take? Like the kryptonite infected Superman or something? I wonder what that is. I wonder. I'm gonna look that up. Justice League Dark Apocalypse War. X9. Screen Rant. I'll get another article. Maybe this will be something for another stream. Wow. Okay, yeah. I'm gonna do another stream reading this article here that I found from Screen Rant. Apocalypse War is the Justice League movie Snyder's DCEU almost made. Justice League Dark Apocalypse War is not only a very intense DC animated movie, but it is also unexpectedly mirrors Zack Snyder's plans for the DCEU. I'm going to have to check this out, yeah. Let me bookmark that. Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to have to check that out. Thank you, RedBrick777. All right. Well, that's just about all I got, guys. Just wanted to go through that article with you, read through that. Maybe on another stream. Maybe tomorrow. You know what? Say tomorrow. Tomorrow afternoon. Tomorrow afternoon. Let's see. What time tomorrow? Spoilers of Justice League going to the dark side. Oh! Really? They were going to put that in Zack Snyder's? But I mean, I guess that would make sense, because Batman was going around saying, like, there's a war coming and I'm looking for people to fight. Okay, alright, okay. Man, my hair, man. Going crazy. That's just about all I got for you guys today. Tomorrow, I'm going to go, let's see. I'm not going to put a time on it yet, because I'm not quite sure what I'm doing tomorrow, if anything. So, I'm going to say sometime tomorrow afternoon, we'll do another stream, and we'll check out that article from Screen Rant, talking about Apocalypse War, and how it's close to what Zack Snyder had in mind for the DCEU. But this was a lot of fun. I had a good time with you guys. Hope you guys had a good time. Spry Prime Games, RedBrick777. Thank you guys so much for hanging out in the chat. Thank you to everybody else that will watch at some point. Thank you to everyone watching in the replay. I have a couple of requested reactions that will be coming out next week. Stay tuned for those. And if you guys have any requests from me, obviously you know where to hit me up. SteveyLuke1@gmail.com. Please react in the subject line, or just link it down in the comment section below. And I will get to it in my own time. Don't expect me to get to it right away, right off the bat, because I'm terrible at, I'm very big procrastinator. I'm terrible at getting things done. But that's all I got for you guys. Thank you for hanging out. This was fun. This was my first time using OBS as well, so that was cool. All right, guys.